The Sonic the Hedgehog film series began in 2020 with the release of the first movie. It would have been 2019 had they realized the proper way to design Sonic sooner. But better late than never. The movie was decently received and was a success at the box office, even if the theatrical run was cut off in 1 month due to the COVID-19 pandemic. In fact, it was around the time theaters were starting to close up when I first saw it. Upon my most recent rewatch, I found the experience, though flawed, to be harmless, and it was clearly a project made out of passion, even if it took a rather interesting direction. It did, however, set up what the rest of the films would be. In 2022, the first sequel was released, and I feel this is where the potential of the films was truly realized. The movie takes place less than a year after the first movie, after Sonic sent Robotnik to the Mushroom Planet and is basically moved in with the Wachowskis. Of course, the same actors make their return: Ben Schwartz, James Marsden, Tika Sumpter, and Jim Carrey. Anyway, Robotnik manages to escape the Mushroom Planet with the assistance of an Echidna warrior named Knuckles, voiced by Idris Elba, and returns to Earth to take his revenge on Sonic. Apparently, Knuckles believes Sonic is the key to locating the Master Emerald, a relic that could grant the user ultimate power and turn thoughts into reality. Naturally, upon hearing of such ultimate power, Robotnik plans to use Knuckles in order to obtain it for himself.
Ultimate power? Now you speak my language.
But Robotnik's not the only one who's got help from another world. If you remember the mid-credits scene at the end of the first movie, Earth receives another visitor, a young fox named Miles Tails Prower, who's been searching for Sonic, and in the second film, decides to help him find the Master Emerald before Robotnik does. The interesting thing about the film's portrayal of Tails is that they probably could have gotten a child actor to do the voice in a big Hollywood production, but instead they settled on Colleen, who provides the current voice of Tails in the games.
Are you sure about this? We don't know who's inside.
This makes her the only actor in the films to reprise their role. Already, just from hearing that brief summary, you can gather that this film has a much deeper connection with the games than the first film did. It has more of what you would expect from a Sonic movie. You got more of the familiar characters, high-speed action, and even the locations tend to lend themselves more to the source material. Granted, it all takes place on Earth still, but what you see bears much closer resemblance to the essence of the games. This is the Sonic movie that fans needed, and the new characters are portrayed very well. Elba was a brilliant fit for Knuckles. For a character that takes himself seriously, he has a lot of funny moments too.
Just chilling, watching TV. Dot, 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 dot.
Though Jim Carrey is still pretty much playing Jim Carrey.
It's time to say goodbye to this piece of shiitake planet!
That's my only gripe with the actor. Even though his facial expressions and animated movements can often be very funny, most of the time he's pretty much playing the same character, no matter their role. The Grinch, Fletcher Reed, The Mask, Lloyd Christmas. If you've seen these movies, you'll notice striking similarities in Carrey's character. But what am I talking about? The film also gives us a nice little character arc for Sonic. At the beginning of the film, he's just out there being a vigilante like Batman, but even though he stops the crimes across the country, he is also causing more trouble than he tried to stop. That's because, given his young age, he had a pretty flawed idea of what it really meant to be a hero.
You destroyed an entire city block.
That block was already messed up. Who cares? Look, I stopped a robbery. I was a hero.
No, you put people in danger, and that's not what a hero does.
Obviously, he wants to use his power to help people, but he's being too reckless with it. By the end of the movie, he starts to understand the importance of teamwork, as well as taking responsibility not just for his own sake, but also for others.
Because being a hero isn't about taking care of yourself. It's about taking responsibility for other people.
Even though the film is a significant improvement over its predecessor, I still wouldn't call it a masterpiece. Product placement still exists in the movie, though not as prominent.
Someone call an Uber?
But forget about that for a bit. There's a much more pressing matter: the pacing. It's too slow, and if you're talking about a Sonic movie, that's no good. That's one thing the first movie has over its predecessor. It's a quick flick, running at an hour 39 minutes, but everything in the film has a natural flow to it. It doesn't feel too fast, nor too slow. This film, however, runs at 2 hours, which is not ideal for a Sonic movie unless the plot demands it, and this one does not. What exactly was it that made the film feel slower, other than just the fact that it's longer? Well, for the most part, it's fine, but there are 3 scenes in particular that I feel are major culprits in this. First is the opening. It's a good opening, showcasing how Robotnik survived on the Mushroom Planet and how he was able to escape. I will be the first to admit though, the thing I'm about to nitpick is really only minor. The ring portal appears, these guys show up, and Robotnik activates these traps to defend himself. Afterwards, just as Robotnik's about to leave, Knuckles appears and you know the rest. My real question is, who were these guys who showed up to attack Robotnik? They don't look like they belong in a Sonic movie. Then again, neither did most of the humans from the first film, so what do I know? But why even have this attack? Just have the ring appear, Robotnik run towards it, but stops when Knuckles appears. Like I said, only a minor nitpick and more of a preference than anything. The next scene takes place at a tavern in Siberia, and it is ridiculous, especially the way it's set up. The purpose of the scene is to give Sonic and Tails a bit of screen time to develop some chemistry before they find the compass leading to the Master Emerald. To survive the intense snowstorm, Sonic and Tails take shelter in a tavern, but while giving their order to the waitress, Tails' translator goes awry, even though it was working fine before in the same location.
I'm sorry, but I asked for the beef stew.
Okay, everybody, take it easy. I'm sure there's a perfectly good explanation for whatever my friend said or did.
The patrons take offense to what's being wrongly translated, and our heroes are forced to compete in a dance-off, which if they lose, they'll be thrown in the fireplace. I suppose it's entertaining to see the dance-off, especially when Sonic and Tails try and fail to replicate the Siberia dances, but then once Sonic puts on Uptown Funk, they're golden. But personally, I'm sure they could come up with a better way to build a dynamic than this. And like I said, it's just ridiculous, the setup in particular. Those other two scenes I named were more petty in comparison to this last one I'll mention, because this is the scene that really slows the film down to a crawl. It begins with Tom saving Sonic's life in the middle of his sister-in-law's wedding. As it turns out, the wedding was a trap being sprung by the Guardian Units of Nations, or GUN, in an effort to capture our heroes.
What the hell is going on here?
After the events in San Francisco, a global task force was created, devoted to protecting our planet from alien threats. That day, Guardian Units of Nations was born.
G-U-N... Seriously?
Gun, yeah.
This makes it a good opportunity for Rachel and Maddie to work together using Tails' gadgets, but it didn't really feel much like plot. To me, it's just more padding than anything, just to make absolutely sure the movie is 2 hours long. The worst part about this is that Gunn doesn't really do anything else in the movie except for the mid-credits scene, which I'll talk about later, but I don't think removing the element of Gunn capturing our heroes would have affected the story any. Robotnik and Knuckles would still make it to the island where the Master Emerald is kept, and Sonic would still feel responsible for Tails' injury and go it alone to the island.
You see that little fox over there? He came all the way across the universe to meet his hero. And what did his hero do? I practically got him killed.
But ignoring the pacing issue, the plan doesn't even make any sense. Maybe it does, maybe I'm not understanding much of it, but the plan relied heavily on Sonic appearing at the wedding. What would they have done if that never happened?
Sonic is not a threat. He's on our side.
He's an uncontrolled extraterrestrial, and your days of aiding and abetting him are over.
And moreover, Sonic was apparently deemed a threat to the planet? By who? Who was the genius, after the events of the first movie, decided, nah, that alien from another world is a danger to the world, even though he defeated someone who is far worse? Okay, granted, at the beginning of the movie, we see him causing more trouble than he was trying to stop. But dude, all he needed was to be trained and doing proper hero work, not being captured as a supposed extraterrestrial threat. And if you're gonna capture Tom for aiding and abetting Sonic, why not also do the same with Maddie? She's just as guilty of it. Just to make myself clear, Gun as an element isn't entirely wasted, and it doesn't exactly ruin the movie. That much is clear in the mid-credits scene. They're searching for Robotnik after he was defeated by Super Sonic, and they soon hear of a secret facility housing the setup for the upcoming third movie.
My God. Project Shadow.
In the third movie, Shadow would of course serve as a central antagonist, voiced by Keanu Reeves.
You're a colorful bunch.
At the moment, it's being hyped up, but at the same time, it's coming out the same day as Mufasa the Lion King, which is also expected to be a moneymaker. Now, you fellas can go see that movie if you want, but my money is going to Sonic and Sonic only. The first two movies may not be brilliant, but they show a lot of passion and promise. The second film just let us see it mostly realized, and I'm betting on the third film to bring it all full circle.